Hello everyone, Karen Warden with Film Courage, the radio show. We're outside the studio with Sean Hackett of Homecoming. We had a wonderful interview. It went by much too quickly. There were a lot of questions that we didn't get to. And we've just been enjoying some wonderful bagels that he brought for us. And he's made a point to us to make sure to always feed the crew and make the crew happy. So the crew is very happy here at Film Courage. A lot of things we didn't get to that we wanted to talk about, one of which was a sense of community in indie film.
Absolutely.
I think, too, in LA, there doesn't really seem to be that. I mean, it's a very competitive town, understandably, and it's kind of hard to, it's just hard to collaborate. Whereas I'm sure smaller towns, there's more of a collaboration. Talk about what you've seen in terms of indie film and a community and how it could be strengthened here.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of my pet peeves in Los Angeles was working on a film set and constantly looking at my watch when it was like 8 o'clock or traffic hour, or wondering what dinner would be. And there's something kind of sad about treating a job like an entire film like a 9-to-5 job, where you go home and you don't really connect with the crew anymore. They're not, you go home and you play on the computer, you do something, and then you go back. And what I love about filmmaking is almost creating like a summer camp experience for everyone. And in that way, you go into the middle of nowhere and it's you versus the world. And you're there to have that backyard experience that you always dreamed of being an entity on a film set and becoming best friends, almost family members. We call our film style family style filmmaking. Not just because we have a lot of family members who work together, but because we act like a family. We eat all our meals together, and I mean that's the stuff that shows even on screen, because like between Bria, who plays Estelle, and Tom and myself and all the other cast, we became really close, and we kind of got that friendship on screen because we had it in real life, which is essential. I think there's nothing better than having relationships with people. And some of the best movies to come out in the last 15 years, they weren't shot in LA. They were shot in really small towns or growing communities like Seattle or Austin or New Orleans. And people in those towns get so excited about you shooting a movie. I mean, I'm from the Midwest, and if someone came to my house and said, we want to shoot a movie there, they would be elated. It would be the coolest thing that's ever happened in that street that they've lived on. One of my best friends is Mike Glazer, who's spending Mother's Day with his mom, and I said that we'd shout them out on the radio show, but we didn't. But Mike's a locations manager, and he's so excited to maybe go work in Kansas City or New Orleans or Nashville or somewhere like that, because he gets to interact with real people who really want to be part of something that's big. It's an art project that a whole community gets involved in.
Well, you talked about how the three of you had this off-screen chemistry, and it definitely showed in the film. And one of my questions for you, too, that we didn't get to was, how are you able to make the audience care about your characters? Because you really did care about them, where sometimes it's just, they're so one-dimensional in some films that there's just no connection there. How are you able to do that?
I think a lot of it was kind of through development, making sure that characters went through ranges of emotions that were real aesthetically, like putting them in situations that we can kind of relate to. There's a person who was just reviewing a movie, Kate Erblund is her name. She writes for Gordon and the Whale, and she says that movies are starting to compartmentalize women. So women are either, the sassy fun friend or the, uptight, friend who doesn't want to have fun, and you just watch them go against each other. And I think when it comes down to people and their group of friends, it's not so much like old-style sitcom. They're real emotions and real ranges of how you react to your friends. And I think with Bria, what we wanted to do, especially with her, was just create a strong character and forget that she's in the military for a little bit, and treat her missing home like the character would be missing home, not like, let's make her a typical soldier. you know, and let's have her have some fears that are maybe petty, but they're cute. You know, simplicity is the magic sometimes, and not having Quentin Tarantino dialogue, but just real emotions. And what you said too is, you know, they felt real. A lot of it just came from making sure the dialogue was always fresh between us, and that we were creating our own dialogue. I don't try to make improv scenes because it's the fun new thing to do. I like it because you can get a great line from a person that resonates with you because it's coming from their soul. You know, that's the special effect that movies have in the independent world, is the soul, and that's all I have the budget to show. So.
And you mentioned too in another interview that you did that there was one scene where you all had to be mad at each other.
Yeah.
And so you spent a very, very long day, I guess there were a lot of takes, in this really angered state.
Yeah.
So talk about how that was, and then you're still all friends.
Yeah.
How did you keep from emotions from crossing the line in that sense?
I think it really came down to me going into like a small quiet area with the actors and telling them why we were doing this scene. You know, it's not so much me versus you, even though a lot of improv came out, especially between all three of us, you know, and we were saying things that maybe were more personal than what the dialogue even had down, but why we had this conversation, because I think to me this film is maybe, you know, it's all about friendship, and it's about going back home to those friends and growing. It's a coming of age story in a really odd way, which are my favorite stories of all time, and I think, you know, when we came down to it, that those hard scenes, they were exhausting, but we all kind of left the building knowing that we had to give our best for that to work, because fights in movies, fist fights or yelling fights or anything, can be very aesthetically challenged. Like, they can be kind of artificial, and it can kind of sound like, I'm very mad at you right now, and this is why, you know, and doing Al Pacino impressions between the three of you. So we tried to make it more realistic and make it as awkward as watching three people have a fight that are very close between each other.
And then lastly, your thoughts on day-and-dating a film.
Yeah. You know, I really like film festivals a lot, and I think that's a way to not just like reach out to an audience, but find that kid who's in high school right now and they maybe want to make a short film, and just like showing them that my film was made for under $100,000, and it looks really good. It looks better than that, and it's putting that fear, because I'm from the Midwest and we put so much fear into you can't do it, and hopefully inspiring people. I mean, I think, you know, the first film that you make needs to be personal, and then kind of your first audience is just going to be other filmmakers, you know, and getting to know those other filmmakers. You know, I think we're part of a really, really awesome generation right now where I'm not trying to be competitive, I want us to all succeed, you know, and grow together. You know, I want to be part of this rush. That's you know, people call it the Obama generation, you know, where we're not saying no to new ideas and creativity, and I hope I can help some people out, and I hope I can also, you know, tell a good story in that process and film it. Thank you.